making my second edition of the Baking Background series. My first video was about flour and I posted that about a week ago, and now we're talking about sugar. So, before I jump into different types of sugars, what they're used for, how they're different, I wanted to kind of tell you what sugar is. Sugar's chemical name is sucrose and is found naturally in fruits, vegetables, nuts, and milk. Sugar cane and sugar beets have the most sucrose out of all plants, so they're most commonly used to make sugar. There are other kinds of sugar besides sucrose. There's fructose, glucose, maltose, and lactose. Glucose and fructose are found in fruits, vegetables, and honey. Lactose is found in milk, and maltose is found in beer and malted drinks. So why is sugar used in baking? Sugar keeps baked goods moist. When sugar bonds with water, sugar keeps the water in the baked good. Sugar also adds flavor, crunch, and color to baked goods. Sugar's most common function is adding sweetness. Sugar adds flavor and color because as it's heated, it caramelizes. And if you've ever made caramel before, you've seen this happen before your eyes. So when sugar melts, it adds a more deep flavor and a darker color. Sugar adds moisture to baked goods because it's hygroscopic, meaning it holds on to water well. Baked goods with sugar stay softer longer. Since sugar holds on to water well, it also works as a tenderizer. Hygroscopic sugar also takes water away from flour, so there's less gluten formation. So first we have granulated sugar, also known as cane sugar or table sugar. It's a pretty fine crystal, not the finest that we're going to talk about, but it's in the middle. Granulated sugar is white in color because it's refined, and it's most commonly used in any recipe you'll see for baking, such as cookies, cakes, scones, anything really. Next, we're moving on to brown sugar, and here is light brown sugar. As you can see, all my sugars are store brand, so nothing special here. Brown sugar you can find in light or dark, and basically it's created because when you refine the sugar, the molasses is taken out. So when you get brown sugar, the molasses is added back into the refined sugar to create either dark or light brown sugar. And brown sugar is also more hygroscopic than cane sugar, so it adds more moisture to baked goods. And honestly, the most common thing you'll see brown sugar in are chocolate chip cookies. Next, we have powdered sugar, confectioner's sugar. I don't have much in this bag, but as you can see, it's also white. It's extremely fine, and basically the sugar is milled and it crushes it into this very fine powder. And an anti-caking agent is usually added. Most commonly it's cornstarch. You'll find powdered sugar used in frostings, icings, or even just put on top of baked goods. Castor sugar is a fine granulated sugar. Its coarseness is between granulated sugar and powdered sugar, and it's great for meringues. Then there's muscovado sugar, which is unrefined sugar, so it has its natural molasses still. It has a stronger flavor than brown sugar, and it can be used as a replacement for brown sugar, so it's really good in gingerbread or molasses cookies. Then there's sanding sugar, which is a large crystal sugar usually used to add a sparkle to the top of sugar cookies or muffins. Then there's turbinado sugar, and it's partially refined, still containing some natural molasses. Usually its crystal size is closer to sanding sugar, so it's a very coarse crystal, and it's good also to be used as a topping like sanding sugar. It's also really good in coffee. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about like sugar replacements, or I guess healthier substitutions that you'll see. Some of those are like molasses. This is not molasses. Maple syrup, honey, agave, stuff like that. I did want to talk about molasses first. Molasses is a dark, thick syrup, and it's a byproduct of refining sugar. Molasses adds moisture to baked goods, and because it's acidic, it also helps to react with leavening agents. You'll find it in gingerbread and molasses cookies. The next one I want to talk about is stevia, and stevia comes from the stevia plant. You'll see it more in teas and drinks since it's a leaf rather than in baking. Agave is a succulent that produces a sweet liquid. Agave is sweeter than cane sugar, so if you're substituting agave for sugar in a recipe, you'll use less. And you'll find agave in tequila or as a sugar substitute. Now, honey and maple syrup, I don't need to explain. I feel like those are very common ingredients that people should know about. They're also like agave, they're sweeter than cane sugar, so if you're substituting, you're going to use less. Now, these are also known as invert sugars. So if you see something that says invert sugar, usually it's referring to like corn syrup or any of these because they're all liquid sugars. Lastly, I wanted to talk about coconut sugar, which I've seen a lot in healthier recipes. Coconut sugar is a palm sugar from the sap of a coconut flower. It's different than actual palm sugar. It tastes very similarly to brown sugar, and it's also brown in color. Now, all these sugar replacements are still sugar, so your body is still going to break it down and metabolize it just like cane sugar. So if you're kind of trying to be health conscious and stay away from using cane sugar, honestly, you should just stay away from all forms of sugar because it's going to do the same thing in your body. So I hope that explains some things about sugar today, the different types used in baking, different substitutes, how you should use less maple syrup or honey if you want to substitute that in a recipe, and also that coconut sugar really isn't anything special. It's just like every other sugar there is. So if you like this video, please like, subscribe. I'm going to link the blog post that goes with this so you can read it if that's easier to understand, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!